So everyone is caught up over AI, VR goggles, the self-driving cars, and all that new technology coming out. That stuff is pretty cool, but what if I told you there is something way cooler that we haven't even scratched the surface of? I believe that in the near future, we'll be discovering a lot more about the most powerful technology in existence, us. Did you know that computers are modeled off of the human brain? That the phone camera recording this mimics the capability of our eyes? That AI, the neural networks and all that, were inspired by our mind? We are the greatest piece of technology, but we haven't even mastered ourselves. We're so focused on everything that's going on outside of us that we don't realize everything that's going on inside of us. This is a word that we'll be hearing a lot about in the future. Brain waves. Our brain constantly sends out signals in the form of vibrational waves. These can be measured. Our brain is essentially like a broadcasting station. Our thoughts are signals that are sent out to our environment. The thoughts that we broadcast are then projected back to us. Our whole reality is really a projection of our mind. Our perception gives meaning to the world around us. Without our perception, nothing would have meaning. I talk a lot about frequency and vibration in this video, so make sure you go check that out after watching this. Napoleon Hill touches on this in the Law of Success in 16 Lessons, which is really like the expanded version of Think and Grow Rich. Telepathy is real. We can communicate without speaking. In fact, we are picking up on the signals that other people broadcast around us all the time. We just aren't aware that it's happening. It's kind of similar to how text messages work. Communication is being transmitted from one phone to another through the air. Our thoughts and emotions and feelings do the same thing on a subtle level. Have you ever had a random thought just pop into your head? You might believe that thought was unique, but in reality, there is no such thing as an original thought. Our thoughts are collections from past experiences and the thoughts and visions from those around us. I've had instances in sports where I telepathically communicated with my teammates. It's like we were just perfectly in sync. I love those moments. This is why we say we are on the same wavelength as someone else. There are certain people that we resonate with and are naturally gravitated towards. Our minds are like interconnected webs. One thought or feeling ripples through the universe further than we realize. A strong intention, backed by emotion, sends a powerful wave out to the universe. It has an organizing power where reality can mold to fulfill your intention. That wave you send out is drawn back to you. It's just like you were standing at the edge of the ocean. You know how the wave crashes onto the beach, but then it is pulled right out to sea with the same power. Now, the secret is that you can develop your ability to tune into a certain station. This is also known as your resonance. Why is this ability so powerful? If you control your mind, you can control your life. Yeah, there's certain things that we can't control and they're not worth stressing over, but most of us can exert way more control over our lives than what we're doing right now. I've shown this chart in multiple videos. These are the 5 brainwave states. Our brain activity determines the state of mind that we are in, and our state of mind determines the outcomes that we get in life. When you learn to manipulate your brainwave state, you can truly become the master of your reality. I talk a lot about the beta state because that is where fear and anxiety exist. And that is where most of us are stuck in. We are chronically overstimulated, usually caught up in some kind of chronic stress or chronic fight or flight mode that we have just gotten used to. Being in a constant beta state wreaks havoc on our body. We are never able to fully recover and rest. Chronic anxiety contributes to sickness and disease. Our hormones and organs don't function properly. Our energy is constantly being depleted. Our energy is so valuable, but we just give it away. We allow it to be siphoned without our consent. We are not projecting our own authentic energy out to the world. If we are not breathing deeply, we are losing energy. We are constantly tense, we are losing energy. Most of us are actually simulating a panic state without realizing it, even if there's nothing to panic about. And I talk a lot more about mastering your energy in this video, so go check that out too. We are never truly calm and centered. Our mind is never quiet. It's always racing. We can't sit in silence. We can't think for ourselves. Therefore, we are controlled by everything around us. We have no control over our mental state. Practicing meditation allows us to regain control over our mind. You begin to realize how overstimulated you are, and you can really just let all of that go and be fully present. In the present moment, anxiety, fear, and depression cannot exist. Even thoughts don't exist. It's just you being fully involved in the present moment. You're not over planning your next action, you're just spontaneously acting. You're not caught in the past or the future, it's just now. In mindfulness meditation, we just sit in silence, notice our mind racing at 100 miles per hour, and then constantly return our attention to our breath. We're training ourselves to bring our focus back to the present moment. The key is to not push your thoughts away in your mind, but really to just let them go. Release the need to put meaning to your thoughts. They are just thoughts. They only become true if you give meaning to them. Let them come up, observe them, and then bring your attention back to your breathing. With consistent practice over time, you can now consciously bring your attention back to the present moment, even in the most stressful situations. Embracing silence might be the key to solve all the negativity, trauma, and the mental struggles that society faces today. Over time, you start to leave the beta state and operate more in the alpha state, feeling more relaxed and peaceful, having a clear mind, and focusing more on your internal world instead of the external world. The calmer you are, the more effective you are, and the more authentic you are. You're getting out of your own head and acting more spontaneously from your heart. You can go even deeper to the theta state. This is a deeper state that can be reached through meditation. Your brain is operating much slower and you're pretty much on autopilot. You're really going with the flow, going with the current of life instead of constantly pushing against it. This is where you can become a magnet and really start to effortlessly attract your highest version. When we enter the alpha and the theta states more frequently, now we can unlock an even more powerful state called gamma. Gamma is like a super enlightened state where you're vibrating so high, almost out of this world, and pushing the limits of your perception. You might be highly creative in a state of pure flow or bliss, where you feel like you are one with everything and you have full control over yourself. You can receive a large amount of insight and knowledge in this state. Gamma actually arises through those more calmer states like alpha and theta. Now, when our mind is calmer, it becomes a lot more impressionable because we have almost a direct access to our subconscious mind. Our subconscious is living beneath the surface, a collection of beliefs, identities, and habits that we aren't even aware of. It's our internal wiring or the mental programs that we're running on that create us. With a calm mind, we can influence the subconscious more easily. Any intention you set or visualization that you do will be much more powerful in slower brainwave states. It's like that ripple that your thoughts send out is like 10 times stronger than when our brain is overstimulated. When we sleep, we enter the delta state where our brain is really moving slow. In the moments we are drifting off to sleep or just waking up, we're moving through these lower states and we have a direct access to our subconscious. Thinking and feeling what you want to manifest is much more powerful at this time, which is why scrolling through your phone at these times can also be very destructive. You allow all these random thoughts and ideas to be flooded into your mind when it's most impressionable. I'm guilty of it too. We all are. But remember that you're either programming yourself or being programmed by something else. Remember that true manifestation isn't just visualizing and then sitting back and doing nothing. We visualize to shift our identity because who we are or what we think we deserve is what we get. Then we take action aligned with the identity that we are forming. Mastering supreme balance in all ways is the key to unlocking your potential. The universe is constantly striving for balance. If we are out of balance, even in the positive direction, it can become a negative. Too much of a good thing is really a bad thing. Stay at the equilibrium or on the middle road or at the 0 point. We want to merge the masculine and feminine. We want to merge the logic and intuition. We want to merge the left and right sides of the brain. To master our lives, we must synchronize both sides of our brain. We got to use both logical reasoning and intuitive guidance. We got to be practical and creative. We gotta be organized and leave room for spontaneity. We must be able to use the masculine traits of logic, achieving, and structure while using the feminine traits of empathy, feeling, intuition, and creativity. We must accept both the good and the bad of life as all just part of life. This graphic sums it up perfectly. We can't look at certain emotions or feelings as being good or bad. We can't avoid struggle, we can't avoid being uncomfortable, and we can't avoid failure. We must accept it all as part of a whole, as part of the human experience. There can't be good without bad. You can become a harmonious individual if you find supreme balance within yourself. Meditation forces both sides of your brain to work in tandem. If you are predominantly right-handed, start using your weak hand. I was always pretty ambidextrous, but at one point I was super obsessed with doing everything with both hands. I learned how to write, brush my teeth, shoot a basketball, throw, and more with my left hand. I do single arm and single leg workouts to make sure I'm balanced. The Monroe Institute also created a series of sound frequencies that can balance both hemispheres of the brain. This is known as hemisync. You can find some of those on YouTube. Now, the Monroe Institute actually received a federal grant to do this research. The CIA recently released classified documents on something called the gateway process, a training technique that used sound frequencies to stimulate higher levels of consciousness. I'll link the document in the description. In the 1970s, during the Cold War, they were worried that Russia was researching psychic abilities, so they wanted to as well. The original goal of the gateway process was not warfare, but to become conscious of one's particular inner resources, inner abilities, and most of all, one's inner guidance. The documents also outline the different levels of consciousness that their audio tapes induce, beginning with what they refer to as Focus 10, a meditative state that is conducive to psychic abilities, healing, and remote viewing, which is basically sensing in your mind things that are happening really far away from you. In the deeper Focus 12 state, participants report meeting their higher selves. In Focus 15, they can manipulate time and channel a strong and guiding godlike figure. When you listen to tones at slightly different frequencies through headphones, both brain hemispheres begin to equalize the level of frequency. This is known as binaural beats. A deep state of calm follows, and that's when the portal opens up, so to speak. In this state, the report tells us that it's possible to escape the restrictions of time and space and tap into the intuitive knowledge of the universe. Basically, they were using this to unlock the ability to time travel and astral project. Pretty freaking crazy. On page 22 of the CIA's Gateway Analysis, there's an advanced technique which is known as patterning, saying that in the Focus 12 state, we can project our thoughts into the universe with the intention that the desired objective is already a matter of established achievement, which is destined to be realized. Basically meaning that imagining ourselves living our desired outcomes guarantees that they will be actualized. I talked about in previous videos how quantum physics supports this. Protons, electrons, and neutrons, or subatomic particles, behave differently when they are being observed. Our perception, or our thoughts, have the power to influence particles, or matter. The report says that our thoughts have the power to influence the development of reality in time-space, if those thoughts can be projected with adequate intensity. The CIA is really on that manifestation stuff. All that to say, there is a lot more to this reality and to ourselves than we realize. And we're just beginning to scratch the surface. Don't forget to give the video a like, comment with any feedback, and subscribe to support the channel. Peace.